Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Reborn Dolls with Karen. We're back with Jaycee. We started her on the last of Miranda's videos. We creased her and did her lips and nails one time. So we're going to continue on with her now, but before we do, I wanted to show you Miranda's hand. It is a perfect seal. It seems strong. Doesn't seem like it's going to break or anything. It's just great. It works super good. So, even though my first attempt on Presley's nose, I felt like it was a bust, but that was my fault. There was nothing wrong with the putty. It was my fault. I filled his nose too much. But this time, man, oh man, did it make a difference. Her thumb was literally hanging by a thread. I mean, it was just barely on there. And now you can't even tell it even had a mark on it. I also want to reveal a few dolls to you that I finished. I promised I'd come back and show them to you with hair and dressed and everything. First up, we have my little Harper. I got to comb their hair though, because moving them around and dressing them and stuff has messed their hair up a bit. So I'm going to comb their hair. This one is Harper. He is rooted with honey blonde hair. Very cute hair. I love this hair. It is a beautiful color. And it looks good on him. And I rooted his eyelashes. This is my second attempt to root eyelashes. I think I did pretty good this time. I didn't hardly have to pull any out. I don't know if you can see his eyelashes, but they are rooted. Which to me in a picture makes them look like they don't have eyelashes. That's how they look to me. But he's got his tipped nails. He's got the cutest limbs, and he's on a slightly bigger body than he should have. I think he calls for a 20-inch, but he's on a 21-inch. He's got his cute little painted feet. Look at those feet. He's just adorable. I love his sculpt. Now I didn't make the torso. He's nice and squishy like any other baby. I just got rid of the torso. But that's Harper. Now we're going to go move on because I got Charlie. Charlie's rooted with some of that blonde. This is the blonde hair, which you'll notice right away it's much lighter. This is the blonde hair you get from Bountiful Baby. It's more of a platinum blonde. They don't have honey blonde, so it's not even an option. And I ordered this hair when I was making the bigger Charlie, believe it or not. Well, my wheel's in that rut again. Okay, so I can see one problem with Charlie right now, right off the bat. His eyelashes are coming off. I did not root him because I didn't have any more of this hair that he's rooted with to root his eyelashes. So I thought, well, if they're not going to match anyway, I'm just going to put the stick-on kind on. But I didn't put enough glue under it, so I'm going to fix that right now. We don't want them falling off at all. Now, when they're sticking up like that eyelash is, you can actually get a drop of glue underneath them. But if they're just slightly off, say in the middle or something, you're going to want to put the glue right on top of the eyelashes to keep from pulling them the rest of the way off. Just a drop or even a tiny drop is plenty to glue these eyelashes down. It bonds well with the silicone and it bonds well with the eyelash itself. So if you're using this kind, see, you can just put a dot right on top like this and it will hold the eyelash down much better. Now if it's not staying still, you're going to want to use another drop. But I think that's going to stay. Anyway, let's look at little Charlie now. Charlie's got his cute little pink fingers. You can see these fingers are a little bit pinker. I wish I could turn him another way where you could actually see him. Maybe you can see this hand better. His fingers are a little bit pinker than the rest of his skin color. He's got a lovely skin tone. His skin tone is just beautiful, I think. And he's got this cute little scratch on his face. You can actually feel it if you rub across it. He's just adorable. He looks almost exactly like the toddler Charlie, so you can tell he's the same baby. His feet are super cute. He's just adorable. And that's Charlie. And the other one I'm going to show you is Alyssa. I just recently got finished rooting Alyssa, and her hair's messed up too. Moving them around and changing their clothes and all that messes their hair up a little bit. And you have to like fix it again. I don't always respray it. Sometimes I just brush it, but this is Alyssa. She's wearing a cute little outfit. She's a much smaller baby, as you can tell. She's on a regular 19-inch body. You can tell right away she's a lot smaller. And she is also super cute, though. She has the cute little feet. Her limbs move like a dream. Look at that, just like a dream. This is how they normally move. You know, when I was showing you Dominic and his was sticking, it was because I didn't stuff his body correctly, and there was no counterweight. When I opened him back up and restuffed him a little bit, they started moving. But I think that's true with any kind of thing you use to make the arms move, even the rings. If their body is squishing in and stuff, when you try to move the limbs, the body's so baggy up here at the top that it's actually trying to move instead of the arm. It's just the path of least resistance, I guess. I don't know. But she's got nicely done lips. She also has rooted eyelashes. She's my third attempt to root eyelashes. So I think I'm doing pretty good for having only done 3 dolls. She looks pretty good to me. I do have Presley over here. He's put together, but he doesn't have any clothes on. I think I'll wait and reveal him when he has clothes on. I put together 6 dolls yesterday, and Miranda would be 7, but her glue wasn't dry, so I couldn't put her together. So we're ready now to start on Jaycee. Jaycee has a very, very expressive face. She looks kind of like she's about to cry. She's frowning. It's what babies do in their sleep sometimes. They frown, they smile, they do all kinds of things in their sleep. I'm going to use some purple on her face because she's expressive and I want her to look expressive. Her expressiveness isn't bad. I'm going to be using this wet purple because I want to use my fine tip brush, and those paint brushes over there that I have that are got purple in them are just huge because I'm usually using it on a bigger area than I'm going to use it on this time. But I'm going to be trying to paint. I'm going to try to point to it. I'm going to be trying to paint these little creases that you see coming up from her eyes right here and a little bit down in this crevice. We want to see that part of her face. I do anyway. Because that's the whole reason a person would get a Jaycee kit, is because she's expressive. At least that's what I think. Nobody would go, well, I'm going to get that ugly doll, but, I'm not going to make her look expressive. I mean, you just wouldn't. It's like Kyrie. If you've ever seen her kit, she's smiling. And the whole reason you get her kit is because she's smiling. And, that's what I think anyway. But anyway, here we go. We have to be very careful with wet paint that it doesn't run or get on any parts we don't want it on. I'm doing one side of her expressive look so you can see what I'm planning to do with her, and then I'll do the other side. Now you can't really see the color purple that well. You might can, but one side is shadowier now, darker, expressive looking, while the other side is more plain. See, this side over here has the highlights by her eye, and this side over here does not. I hope you can see the difference. Some things do not show on camera. You cannot see any difference at all. But I think this will. I think it will. I usually watch my videos, not every single one because it just takes too long, but I watch some of them to see what you're seeing. I want to see what you're seeing. And that way, if my camera angle's wrong, if you can't hear my voice, if you can't see the item I'm painting in the screen good because I'm holding it in the wrong place, I see all that. And I can adjust my everything. I can adjust everything on the next video. So sometimes, though, before I can have one video up, I've recorded 2 or 3 others. So it might be 2 or 3 in a row that have that. Okay, she's got a little bit of purple going across the bridge of her nose. and just down in those little creases that make her look like she's frowning. Okay, so now we're going to proceed. That's all the purple I'm doing. I don't do a lot of purple. I don't like a lot of purple. Purple is very darkening and shadowy, and you just don't need it on any part of the doll that you don't want to look very shadowy. The next color I'm going to do is blue. Blue is also a darkening and shadowing color, but it usually, not always, you can see a little bit of blue showing through the other colors of paint. So it's not just a shadow, it's more like a undertone color, let's put it that way. But before I do her blue, I'm going to give her a vein. I usually do the vein very first, right after the creases, but I just didn't do it before I put her in the oven. I was too concerned about Alyssa's thumb over here before when I was doing the first steps on Jaycee. She's probably going to have 3 steps of enhancements because of that. Maybe not. Maybe I can get it all in 2. I don't really know. But anyway, here we go. I'm going to give her one kind of expressive vein that covers all the places I want a vein to be. We're going to make this one come way over here. And we're going to make this one come way over here. And then we're going to put some little branches off of them that come down toward her forehead. Just like we did on whichever other doll I did this on. And then we're going to get a sponge and rub them. I usually just get a sponge that I've been rubbing with already. It doesn't really matter if it's pristinely clean. Well, these look pristinely clean, so okay, I'll use them. This has a little bit of yellow on it, but it won't hurt it. Once they're dry like that, you're not going to really get any color off of them onto your doll. So you don't have to worry about, oh, it's got yellow on it. I might make some funky green color by wiping blue with it. Well, you're not going to, because it's dry. I'm also going to sketch her on a little bit of eyebrows. Now, she is frowning for real. Her eyebrows are going to be lower than normal because that's what happens when you're frowning. Just go to the mirror and frown, and you'll see your eyebrows go down. So we're going to be giving her some kind of low-set eyebrows because of that. I mean, you don't have to. You can still put them in the normal place you would actually put them. But if we're going for realism, we need to have them in the place where they actually belong. And the more we strive for realism in our dolls, I think the more we can actually achieve it. I don't like where that one is. I'm going to rub that off. See, it just rubs right off. When these stronger, spongy things almost act like an eraser. Anyway, the more we strive for realism, the more we can achieve it as we practice our skills. So, if you're striving for realism, a frowning baby has lower eyebrows than a happy baby. Anyway, these, like I said, these eyebrows aren't meant to be her permanent eyebrows. They're going to be my guide for rooting eyebrows. I'm fixing to learn it. And as soon as I do, I'm going to root her some eyebrows, and I'll root several dolls some eyebrows. I have several dolls that need eyebrows. Let me get a sip of my coffee. It's rapidly getting cold. I can just drink it now. It was hot when I laid it there. Okay, so she's got her vein, and she's got her purple, and she's got her eyebrows. I'm going to set her down for a minute. The purple is still kind of wet. And I'm going to vein her arms and legs as well. I like to put one right here on the wrist. I just put a squiggle. I don't go elaborate on that because, well, I don't know. As long as you see a vein. Now, on the back of the hand, hers is kind of bent. If there's too much of a crease here, you're going to have trouble making the vein look real because it's going to be skippy looking. Well, veins are kind of skippy looking anyway, but still. You can put like just a crease, just a squiggle, or you can give it a branch, or 2 or 3 branches, whatever you want to do. I just gave it one little branch, and I'm just going to rub it. I'm also going to give her one up here on her shoulder so that whoever gets her can see it. That's the idea of veins to me. The person getting the doll needs to be able to see them. That's my number one goal on a vein. I don't really care if it's anatomically correct. Okay, now on the legs, I like to put one on the ankle down here. I just put a squiggle. I don't usually put any branches on it or anything. I just put a little squiggle and sort of, you know, smudge it a bit. You don't have to smudge them at all. Sometimes when you don't smudge them a bit, the paint will lessen them. Sometimes it won't. I smudge it because to me it's too dark of a color. And if it stays that color, I'm not going to like it as much. So here we go on the thigh. We're going to give her kind of a little Y-shaped one on her thigh. These are the places people are going to see them, the outside of the leg, not the inside of the leg. It may be more anatomically correct to be able to see one on the inside of the leg, but nobody's going to see it. The body is right up against it like that. Even when you're rotating the leg up and down, there's body there. You're not going to see it. So, no need to put it. That's my opinion anyway. So we're going to give her another one on her wrist here. Just give it a little Y shape. The reason I give a Y shape on the hand is because you can just see it so well. It's just a Y shape. But on the wrist, all I see is straight lines on me. And I haven't, like I said, I don't go around examining everybody's baby to see where I can see their veins. So, and I just don't remember, I don't remember on my babies if I even could see their veins. It's totally lost memory. Let's put it that way. Now keep in mind, veins are undertones. They're under the skin. Now if you just think they're just too light, you can always make them darker later. You can refresh them. If you can't see them later, just refresh them a little bit after the bake. Don't do it before the bake, because if you start rubbing on a vein before the bake, it's going to rub off some of the paint. And every vein doesn't have to be as long or as squiggly or have as many branches as all the rest of the veins. It's totally random, because that's how you see the veins in people anyway. It's very random. You see them here, you see them there. You don't see them everywhere. In one of my, I think it was high school in biology, they had like a mannequin guy that was supposed to be the way your body looks inside. It had layers, like there was the bones, then the organs were placed inside of visibly placed inside of the bones, and then they had the muscles and the veins and all that on top of all that, and you could see it. And it was ugly, really, because it didn't have any skin on it, but it showed you how the veins just all connect together and stuff like that. And it's quite creepy. I thought it was creepy, but it was in our classroom. So anyway, I'm going to try to put some blue on him without having to dip this brush. I forgot to dip it last time, and I barely got blue on that doll. So here we go with a little bit of blue on the bottom of the foot. That looks pretty blue to me. I keep saying, after this paint session, I'm going to dip my brush. These brushes I don't use as much as the red. I usually just lay the red one down on the table, and then whenever I'm finished, there's one stray hair in this brush that's really long. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's sticking out too far. But I just lay the red ones down on the table, which reminds me to dip them. But I usually put the blue ones back so as to not get them confused with the red ones. So, okay, I forget them. I forget to dip them. Okay, that's the blue. And I can put or not put blue on her forehead. I think I'll put blue. I don't know for sure if I want to or not, but here we go. We're going to put a little blue. I think the pencils had time to kind of settle down a little. this could brush off some of the pencil, but it doesn't seem to be doing it, so I'm good with that. Many people put blue on the face of their doll in many, many different places. Whether you want to do it or not is strictly up to you. How much you want to put, how dark, which spots, all that. I always put it on the forehead. It doesn't really look later like she's got blue on the forehead. All these colors just mesh together for this illusion we're looking for. We're looking for the illusion, like, let's say, you know, in magic. They're not really doing magic. It's illusions. It's all sleight of hand and get you to look in the wrong place so they can make something appear to happen that isn't really happening. And that's the way it works. And that's sort of how it works when you're reborn a doll as well. Oh, that's the cat. I heard a sound and I couldn't figure out what in the heck it was. Anyway, we're looking for this illusion that we're going to turn this vinyl-y looking, blank, flat looking kit into something that has layers and has depth perception and looks more real. And the blue just plays into that a little bit. It's not that it's going to actually go, oh, she's got a blue forehead. You're probably not going to see it at the end. But that's not the point. The point is the layer that it goes underneath is going to look a little different than the rest of her face. Just like the yellow does on their face. When you put the yellow on their face, that little spot on their face looks a little different than the parts that you didn't put the yellow on. So you see, all these colors just work together. So you're not going to go, I can see right now yellow is on this doll. I mean, or purple, or blue. You're just going to go, wow, she's expressive. Isn't she expressive? You know, you're just going to see the result at the end. If that makes any sense at all. We're not looking for sharp yellow on our doll's face or sharp blue. We're looking for something to change the outcome of the way this doll's going to look. Does that even make sense? I don't know. So we want to be very careful with these wet colors that we are not causing them to run. See, I already put purple across her nose, higher up, and now I'm putting yellow down here. We don't want to mix those two colors. She has not baked yet. But we do want them on her face. So here we go. They're on her face. Now that looks pretty good. Like I said, 2 coats work a little bit better, but sometimes you just feel like 1 coat's enough. I don't know. You just look at your doll, and I always say the proof is in the pudding. That's an old-timey saying. And it just basically means you don't know until you're done. You know, you can mix all these ingredients together in a recipe, but until the recipe's finished, you don't know the outcome. So that looks really good on her face. You probably cannot even tell she has yellow. But I can. And if you're doing it in front of you, you can too. You'll go, yeah, that looks kind of good. That does kind of appear like some little fat or something. Anyway, if you want to do a really fat doll that you can put a lot of yellow on, just pick one that has chubby fat rolls on their arms and legs and do that. And you can put it on their arms and legs too. Well, okay, I'm going to get this lid on in a minute. Oh, and I'm going to have to wipe my hands and get the yellow off again. Okay. I'm going to try to clean up my table a little bit. I've got the yellow out. I've got the sealer out. That's my sealer stick. I don't like to throw it away because, well, sticks go fast if you just throw every one away. And if you wiped off your sealer stick real good like I did, there's tiny little bits of residue. Here's the clear glue. Okay, here's dirty paper towels I can throw away. A toothpick. Let's keep our table clean. It's hard enough to do. I want to tell y'all, there's only a few more days. I think there's 7 or 8 days left in the contest. And I don't know. I'm thinking about ending it early. Some of the people are no longer participating. And the other people are actually participating at the same level. Every time I ask a question, they're answering the question. So they're all getting the same number of listings in the box, entries in the box at this point. So continuing to ask questions and things is just not being productive to me, because I don't know. Everybody has a lot of entries. Let's put it that way. I packed up the boxes last night until they wouldn't fit any more stuff in them. Like I said, I put a kit and a body in each box. And then I just started putting things in there. They're random. I don't even remember at this point which box has what things. But I'm going to print 3 labels and stick them on the box randomly. So whatever box you get is just, that's the kit you get. I can't even remember the kits. I think Chanel is one of them. I can't remember for sure if she went in the box or not. I really don't know who the kits are. I'm trying to strain my brain and go, okay, what kits were in that box? Because I don't know. I got a kit and a body in them, though. And then this stuff, like, this is just examples. You may or may not have this in your box. The boxes are a little slightly different. But I think they all have clothes. They all have some little diaper covers. They all have some, there's no paint, because I don't even know if people are air dry or heat set, and I don't have anything air dry anyway. All I have is heat set, and it's wasted if you send it to an air dry artist. Anyway, whatever, but I know there's hair bows, there's some little hats, there's socks, there's shoes, there's just a bunch of different things in the boxes, but it's random, so I don't know who got what. I just filled 3 boxes and I go, okay, there's 3 prizes right there. I don't even know who the winners are yet, so, you know, but I was thinking about going on and ending the contest, because, I don't know, it just seems like I said, counterproductive to continue on now. The people who are participating now are the only people who have participated from the beginning. And a couple of people who were participating in the beginning, you don't hear any more from them. They probably have 1 to 5 entries in the box. And other people have 1 to 5 entries because they started up in the middle, but then they didn't continue on. But there's about 8 people who have entries in the box. But if you've noticed, I've pretty much stopped asking questions on the videos. Every now and then I remember to do it, but I just can't keep it up. I can't remember it. So I'm thinking we're going to end this contest early, probably. I just don't know when to end it. March the 1st is still 8 days away. I guess I could wait it out. I don't know. I'm just anxious to get the boxes out to the people. I want to know if they like what they got. I want to know if they're happy with their stuff, and, you know, stuff like that. I just can't stand waiting. At Christmas time, I always buy gifts and I immediately give them to the person, because I can't wait. I want to know how they like them. I want to see their face. I want to hear their comments. I want to know what they think. I can't wait that long. Christmas is still a long way away, and I'm not sticking them under the tree. Well, not that there's no presents under my tree, because there would be, but certain people get their gift right away. Like, here you go, open this up and tell me if you like it, you know. And then I go, now give it back and let me wrap it up. And I go, oh, there's no need in that. You already know what it is, you know. I guess I take the magic out of Christmas. But it's always like that. Birthdays, anything. You get somebody a gift, I can't wait to give it to them. Can't wait. And it's no different for this contest. Y'all give me your thoughts on it, because I'm thinking of ending it early. That's all I can say. I don't know what else to say. Okay, while her face is drying just a little bit, it probably did dry. I can probably do it now. I was waiting for the yellow to sort of dry so I could go on and pink her face up a little bit, but I think it's dry. I think I can do it now. As usual, I'm going to tell you, we're pinking the face so that when we do give her rosy cheeks and stuff, the background of her face won't look super, super pale. Now, this is what we call step 2 in her reborning journey. Well, step 1 was actually sealer. Step 2 was creases. Now, this step is undertones. It's 3. We did veining, we did eyebrows, we did some purple on her face, we did some yellow on her face, we did some blue on the bottom of her feet, and now we're about to do the pink. We're just giving her her undertones. I call them enhancements because they do enhance the way the doll looks just a little bit. So we're going to go from the eyes down, and we're going to just paint across her face and dab it and make it lightly pink. Okay? So we're just going to swipe it across her face. Now this is a dry brush. This is one of my dry brush techniques. So if you're a heat set artist, you can do this technique. But now if you are a air dry artist, this technique will not work because the brush is completely dry to, I think Regina told me they were crunchy. They took a lot of washing to get them clean again. Oh, that don't have hardly any paint in it. I don't have any big brushes ready to use to swipe her face with, so I might have to use a bunch of little brushes. These smaller brushes do not hold as much paint as the bigger brushes, so they're going to run out a lot quicker. So you're going to have to get another brush. But we continually rotate our brushes around so that we always have wet ones. Well, not wet ones. We always have some to use at that moment. So I'm going to do this much of her face, and then I'm going to start dabbing it. And it doesn't really matter that there's a little blue on there. It's not going to hurt a thing because it's dry. We just want a slight pinkish look. We don't want a harsh red look. But once again, I'm going to continue to say this in every video. Don't put pink on your doll. I know that some air dry paints, when you mix them, they'll say red, but when you mix them, they look pink. But in actuality, they're not pink. Pink looks like Barbie. Think of Barbie. And if you don't really know what pink looks like in a paint, take you a small bit of red and start mixing some white in it until it turns pink. And then imagine that color on your doll. Just a small bit. You don't want to waste a lot of your paint. I'm swirling because swirling spreads a little bit easier than pouncing. It'll soften these edges really soft and cute. They won't look harsh at all. And she'll just look even. We want her to look even. Even up here underneath her chin, we want that even too. We don't want any harsh starts or stops. We want it to look like it fades away and finally goes away. Because that's more natural looking. So she's lightly pink, and she's going to get a little bit lighter when she bakes. Everything gets lighter when you bake. So I don't count this as a layer of paint because it's just an undertone. But I guess you could. It did go all over her face, but to me, a layer of paint is something you put all over the entire doll. Okay, we're going to give her her little thing on her forehead. Ever since my sister said, hey, it looks like she bumped her head or something. I call it a bump on the forehead now. She gets a bump on her forehead. And we're also going to swirl that a little bit. But if you look at it, I don't know if you can tell these subtle differences on camera. If you look at her face now, you can tell that up here, there's a little blue showing through that red. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. Also, right here where we put the yellow, can you notice it's a slightly different color from over here on her cheeks itself? Slightly brighter and lighter, slightly. Okay, so then we're going to now pink her ears a bit. I like pink ears. No reason except I just like them. They're cute. You can do this or not do this. You can do any of the steps I do. Others that I don't do. Leave out anything that you don't like. Add things you do like. But this is what I do. I like pink ears, so I do pink ears. You don't have to do pink ears, but it's a choice. I think Jaycee's going to be cute. I'm hoping she will. If you're having trouble getting the paint to dab inside these folds in the ear or something, get a swab. Swabs can be your friend. This is where pointy swabs come in. These are pointed at the end slightly. The round ones will work, but they won't get in these crevices as easily because the crevices are a little bit tight and the roundness of the round swabs just doesn't get down in there like the pointy ones does. And it can leave a tiny bit of residue that you don't want to leave and make a little bit of too harsh of a look inside the ear. The pointy ones work better. Let's put it that way. Many years, many years, I did dolls and didn't ever buy a pointy swab, ever. I just used swabs I already had in my bathroom or somewhere, and they were fine. I just go in there and get me a handful of swabs and bring them to my table. I used to buy those Q-tip swabs. You know, they come in a big package because, well, I thought it was a good buy, and they had better. They were better. They didn't try to bend when you were using them. I use Q-tips for a lot of things, not just my ears. In fact, you're not supposed to really stick a Q-tip in your ear, believe it or not. You can, you know, if you have something on your face, right by your eye, you can use a Q-tip to get it off. You know, lots of things like that. And anyway, I had a big package, so I just go in there and get me a handful, and for a long time I didn't even look for a pointy Q-tip at Walmart. I just got the round ones because I thought pointy ones would be too expensive. Not only that, they have them in a different place in the store. Over in the regular health and beauty aids is where they have the rounded Q-tips. And then the ones that are pointy like this, they have them over there in the cosmetic department, you know, over where the makeup and stuff is. The same place you'll find these sponges, makeup sponges. A lot of the things that people use to reborn dolls are actually for makeup. And a lot of people use different shapes and sizes of makeup brushes. And I have done that in the past myself, but because I use heat set, now you think if you use heat set, you probably know what I'm talking about when I say that eventually the paint thinner in your paints is going to mess up your brush and you're going to have to throw it away and get another one. Well, you think that's fast. Wait till you see what it does to a makeup brush. It's so fast you don't even get to use it hardly. So I quit buying the makeup brushes. I had one particular configuration of a makeup brush and I couldn't tell you what it was for because I never used makeup brushes because we were never allowed to wear makeup when we were kids. And by the time I was grown up and married, I didn't care about it no more. Anyway, I loved using that one. It's what I used to crease with then when I was using paint. It was just shaped the right way and it would get right down in them creases. But the creases still didn't hold the color because paint, it's just too wimpy. I don't know. Pencils work much better. Now, we're going to work on her hands and feet a bit. I like to pink the entire fingers. People do this in multiple different ways. I mean, huge variety, not just the ones I'm naming. Some people just pink a little bit on the fingers here and there. Some people do the tips. Some people do the entire finger. On the palms of the hands, sometimes they do all these different little sections. Very minute amount of paint and a tiny little brush to pounce it with. And just do in between these creases, not touching the creases at all. And they do it all over the palm of the hand like that. Some people paint the entire hand. It's just a preference. You just do it any way you want to. I used to paint the entire hand, and a lot of people thought that was cute. You know, people send you messages about, oh, I just got my doll. It's so beautiful. I love this or that or this or that on them, you know. And so, you know, by them saying that it, you know, they like that particular enhancement. But since I've been doing just the fingers, I've gotten more compliments on that than the whole hand or any other way I've ever done it. So that's what I do now. And I like it too, and it's a lot less painting. Well, it's more delicate because you have to be careful. If I was doing the whole hand, I'd just go all over the whole hand at one time. I think I hear somebody coming up the stairs. Usually you can hear it. Our steps are iron steps outside that bring people upstairs. And we live in the upstairs apartment. And the way the apartments are configured, one apartment is a little bit further away, the one next door to us. There's two across and two down on both sides of this building. So 8 apartments. So we're upstairs and we're on the side where the stairs are right by our wall. Right by it. The people on the other side have a little space between them and the stairs. It's just the way the stairs are configured because they come up and then they turn. So downstairs, that side over there is the side that has the stairs. But when the stairs turn, they come up by our apartment. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but that's how it is. But I can usually hear somebody on the stairs because they clang a little bit when you're walking up. People don't tend to walk lightly on the stairs. They just kind of stomp. You know, you're trying to go up the stairs and, you know, you're clumping your feet and we can hear it up here. And especially when kids do it because they really, really make a lot of noise on the stairs. Now we're going to pounce that a good bit. Where's my kabuki? Oh, right here. One thing a kabuki is good for is to soften your colors a little bit. I don't recommend doing this with really, really wet paint because these bristles, they tend, because they're so tightly packed and you're just pouncing like this, the bristles can splay apart and make a tiny little rub that will give you a sort of a brush mark. But when you're using this dry paint, that doesn't have, I mean, there's no brush marks I've ever seen. But it does pounce the paint really well. If you're getting too much on your brush, just rub it around real hard on your table. See, I just made a little round red spot right there. And just keep going. And yeah, the bristles are starting to, I've had these a long time ago. I had them when I lived at my son's. I think I had them before that. So I've had them a long time. So, and they are the cheap ones. These came from Walmart. They're the Equate brand. They were super cheap. Now, the doll companies rather, sell kabukis. Oh man, they are expensive. And I thought, no way, I ain't paying that for a kabuki. And I don't know that they're any better. I don't know. They might be superior. I don't know. But I'm just saying that's a lot. I don't hardly use kabukis anyway. I just use them for limited tiny little things like I just did. And sometimes on the face a little bit just to soften the red. The red kabuki is the one I use the most. I have one for every color. Well, purple, blue, and red. I don't need one for the layers. The layers that you put on the doll, that you don't need a kabuki for that. Because you're going to just, it's watery. When I say water, I mean paint thinner. It's liquidy. It's diluted. It's liquid paint. You know, this is more dry paint. This is more like this is almost like using a powder, but the powders are very messy. Very messy. Oh man, I made the biggest, hugest mess just trying to crease with some powders. It just got everywhere, all over my hands. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. And I closed that thing up and I said, nope, not for me. I've tried a lot of things that was supposedly, oh, just great miracle things, and then they just didn't work out for me. Now, they may work great for you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as creative as some other people. Like I'm always saying you don't have to be creative to do this or artistic at all. You just have to follow some simple steps. But they sell this stuff. What it is tiny, tiny, tiny little clips of hair. And it's langulo, or I don't know how you say that. And it's that peach fuzzy looking stuff that goes on the baby's, that's on the baby's face. And people buy that, and you have to put it on with some sealer. You put some sealer on your doll, very thin, and then you put that on, and then you bake them, and it stays. Because, you know, I've been telling you all the time, you can seal stuff down to your doll, you know. And so that's what they do, and they seal it down to their doll, and it stays, and it is looks like those little bitty hairs that are kind of on the sides of their face and their cheeks and stuff. Well, I got me some of that. I said, okay, we're going to use this stuff. Well, they recommended that you practice on some paper first. Just put down some glue or something and just practice on the paper, making it go the way you want it to go and stuff. And I made a royal mess out of that as well. A very royal mess. Okay, on the foot now, I do the entire bottom of the foot, the backs of the toes, and the whole entire foot. The only part I try to miss is where I put the blue. So we're going to do that. We're just going to brush it on. And when I say the bottom of the foot, I mean the actual bottom of the foot. Some people come up a little bit on the sides when they're doing the bottom of the foot. I don't do that. I stay on the bottom of the foot as much as possible. But you can do it any way you want to. It's your choice. This is my choice. I try to stay on the bottom of the foot. We're going to get it nice and pink all over the bottom of the foot like that. And then I'm going to minimize it a little because it's stark and dark. These areas are supposed to just look subtle. They're not supposed to be, oh my goodness, look at those feet, you know, nothing like that. We don't want that. We want subtle. And believe it or not, these are going to get lighter when they bake. A little bit. They're not going to get severely lighter. So now on the top, I do just the toes. So when you do the tops and the bottoms of the toes, you have to remember to do the sides and in between the toes, because that's going to show if you don't do it. And it's going to look strange. And see, like this toe's up higher, so you can see the side of the second toe and the side of the first toe. And then, of course, there's the side over here. The entire toe has to be painted, top and bottom. So I do the bottoms when I'm doing the bottom of the foot, and then I come back and do the top and the sides next. So I specifically had a viewer ask me about the layers I put on my doll. How many was it? How much of each color and all that. So we're learning that in this video series. We're learning all the steps in order that you need to do on your doll. So there's her cute little feet. Yeah, it's a her. I forget what doll I'm doing. I'm not looking at the face all the time, so I just forget. And we haven't even started the layers yet. This is just enhancements. 2 to 3 layers. And I call a layer not a color, but what you do before you bake. That's one layer. 2 to 3 bakes for different enhancements. We use different colors in different areas. Every single one of them are optional. You don't like it, don't do it. You like it, do it. You want something different, do it. You want a different color, change it. Whatever you want, that's your option. But this is what I do. So we're still working on enhancements / undertones, whatever you want to call it. And this is probably going to do it after she comes out of the oven. We're probably going to be finished with her undertones. But you don't know until it comes out of the oven, because I'm always saying the proof's in the pudding. The pudding ain't ready yet, so we don't know. The pudding will be ready when she comes out of the oven. And we'll know if it's any good. Okay, here we go. I think that's an old-timey Southern saying. I don't know. Maybe they say it up north too. I don't know. But people used to say it down here all the time. Older people. And, well, it stuck on me because, well, you know, I'm now an older person, but at the time it was people that were my age then, you know. And, you know, it kind of sticks on you when you hear it said all the time. But then younger generations just, they don't say it. And so, I don't know, it's going to, some of those old sayings just die down because nobody ever says them anymore. But that's one that, you know, that we used to hear all the time. And you quickly learn what it means when your mother's using it all the time, or your grandmother, or your aunt, or somebody. My mother tried very hard to hide that she was from the South. She didn't have a Southern accent because she worked on that to not have it. My daddy made fun of her because of the Beverly Hillbillies. If you've ever seen that show, they make them look extremely stupid. And where did they come from? The mountains in Tennessee. Not that my mother ever lived in the mountains, because mountain people are a different breed of people than us lowlanders, but they have different customs and sayings and all kinds of things. But they're very similar. There's this lady that comes on Facebook. She makes little videos, and she's have you ever heard this and this saying or that saying, or what did your family call this when you know? And a lot of it's just Southern words, and people comment, that's no different than what we say in just, we don't live in the mountains, we just live in the South, and that's been a saying all our lives as well. And a lot of them are like that, but she does have a few that are different. It's like weird. But to a northern person, Southern talking is a little bit weird. When we first left Chicago, we went to Louisville, Kentucky, and we were giggling and laughing at the way those people talked. But, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. You've heard that saying. It just means you're going to me, it means you're going to either purposely try to do what they're doing, or it's just going to rub off on you. One of those. But I guess we were there for some years. I don't remember what years exactly. It was a very confusing time in my life. She's got a little bitty hair on her toe. There we go. Okay. But when we left there and came to here, culture shock was extremely large. They were saying things that you just never even heard before. I never heard anybody say, I'm fixing to go make supper. Or they'd say, I'm about to go make supper. That's what they say down here. We're fixing to do it. That means you're about to do it. They also say, out yonder instead of out there. Go out there and get me some whatever, you know. They'll say, go out yonder and get such and such. Yonder's just over there, you know. And different sayings like that. That's not even the only ones. There's a lot of them. I just can't think of them right now. Because to me now, they just seem commonplace. But I don't say out yonder, not hardly ever. But I do say fixing to. I'm fixing to cook dinner. Y'all hungry? You know, like that. And they don't hardly say carry. They say tote. It's just different. It's not that tote's a bad word, but it doesn't sound proper in the sentence. You know, when you're in school, the teachers using in books and stuff, they use the real proper English. And I always call it the casual spoken English versus the proper written English, you know. And down in the South, a lot of times they use the wrong word too. Like, let's see if I can think of an example. I don't know. I can't think of one right now. Learn instead of taught. He learned me to do that. There's people say that, but those are real bad hillbillies that say that. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of words like that. But my mother, who grew up here, you'd think she'd have all those words in her vocabulary. I never heard my mother once say I'm fixing to. She wanted us to talk proper, so she used proper English. That's why I say my mother was a very smart person. She only got a 6th grade education, but she had at least high school knowledge, at least that. She passed her GED with flying colors. And other than the little bit of algebra I had to coach her on, and it was very basic because that's all that was going to be on the test. They didn't have such of a math as algebra. Well, I'm sure algebra had been discovered, but or identified as algebra. Math has always been around, but they didn't teach it in schools. Let's put it that way. There were no, unknown like a plus 3 equals 7. That's real beginner algebra, and equations and crap. They didn't do that in school back then. They did the basic math that people were going to actually use. I'm not going to say you'll never use an algebraic equation. I'm going to say you're going to be hard-pressed to ever need it. It can be done another way. And people needed to know what they were going to use. And here in rural towns, I don't know if they have classes like this in other towns that aren't as rural as we are. We're very rural. We don't even have city schools. We just have county schools. Everybody in the county goes to the county school, no matter which city you live in. But putting a little in our nose now. But at our school they teach farming and large animal like sheep and cows and stuff. It's called Future Farmers of America. It's a class you can take. Well, it lasts for several years. If you're taking it, you're going to take it probably every year in high school. And you learn how to do farming and stuff and how to care for animals and stuff. They actually raise sheep. And then at the end of the whatever, they sell them. And they get more and they raise them. And they have to give them shots. They have to, whatever the sheep needs, feed them, take care of them, determine if they're not vets. They're not considered vets or anything. But part of being a farmer is you have to determine that your animal needs a vet. And I'm sure they have to deworm them and different things. I don't know. But they do some of the stuff themselves. They don't call a vet for everything. And they used to have Future Homemakers of America too. It was for the girls. And they did not allow the boys to take the girl stuff or the girls to take the boy stuff. I think they've done away with Future Homemakers of America in favor of letting everybody take Future Farmers. Girls can take it now. And they used to also have a shop class where they'd do woodworking and tools and things like that. They did away with that too because those kind of jobs are going away, I think. I don't know, but I think they need to keep those skills. They just do. I don't know. I'm going to dip these red brushes while we're talking and get them ready to go back into the wetter jar over here. At some point, your jars start to have, like this jar, I have 3 jars that have paintbrushes. This one only has little ones in it now, but this one has bigger ones in it, and I think they could go in here now. They've been sitting there for a while. And so now I have an empty jar. And then I have this third jar. These are about half dry. So they'll become my second jar. This will become my first jar. I always take from the first jar, and this will be my third jar. And I'll just dip my brushes and put them in there. Just dip them, wipe them off. If you're a heat set artist, this is a technique that you will find most valuable. And I don't care what that other woman says who's now offering to teach you dry painting. I was doing it before her. I've been doing this for a long time. I never advertised that I was doing it. I never saw another artist doing it. I never heard of anybody else doing it. I started this. I don't care what she says. She's now going live and stuff on all these chats to say, oh yeah, this is my technique. Just like that other woman claims she invented primary method. I wonder how many people were doing that before she invented it. And then there's that, there's another method. I can't remember what it's called that somebody else claims they started up. Okay, she's getting credit for my invention. That's all right. I wasn't going to try to patent it or go online and claim I was the inventor of it or anything. Start podcasts and crap to try to get credit for it. I'm just not that kind of a person, but I don't like that she's claiming. She may have seen me doing it and go, oh, that looks good. She said she didn't patent it or advertise it or anything. I'm taking it for me, which I don't know. I don't really care. But anyway, Jaycee is now ready to go back in the oven. We've done her nails and her lips in very thin coats. We do them every time we put anything on the doll. Every time there's about to be a bake, we do lips and nails until we like the way they look. There's no certain number of steps for that. It's a preference. You go, I just want them light. I think they look good now. You just stop. I want them darker. You keep going. So then at some point, we're going to say, okay, they look good to me. I think that's all they need. So when we come back, we are going to assess her need for any more enhancements. We're just going to look her over and see how she looks and go, yeah, this looks good, that looks good, and see what we need to do. If we feel like we need to do more to her, well, then we will. Otherwise, we will start on our layers. Now, the layers are totally different from enhancements. Layers must be done with wet paint. You cannot do them with dry paint. So we will be using our sponges, and we will be using our paint in the jars, and we will be doing all that. Now, every color I have is paint in the jars because, like I said, I have to dip these brushes to keep them fresh so that they will be able to do the enhancements. So I'm going to re-dip my blues right now because they are just out of blue. And the next doll I do, which will be right after Jaycee, which may be today or it may be tomorrow, you can literally get up in the morning and paint a doll in an entire day. If you have that much time to devote to painting, you can do it. There's breaks when you're baking and cooling. There's your bake time, which is 8 to whatever, and then there's the cooling time, which is about 10 to 15 minutes. And during that time, you can do other things like fold your clothes, wash clothes, mop your kitchen, vacuum your living room, dust furniture, whatever it is you need to do around the house. But if you're coming right back, say it's been a 10-minute bake and a 10-minute cooling, and now she's ready. If you bring her to the table, sit down, put the next coat on her, put her back in the oven, and get back up and start back with your housework, you can literally get done with this doll in one day. All these people are going, oh, my turnaround time is 6 weeks. I'm going, what? Do you have that many orders ahead, or are you just that slow? There's no points for going that slow. There's no reason to wait for the next coat. You can do it immediately after the doll is cool. And I've literally gotten up in the morning and finished a doll in that day. Now, Jaycee was pre-sealed. I do a lot of pre-sealing because it's just more convenient for me. But it only takes a few minutes to seal a doll. She's going to be so pretty. Look at the pretty color on her face. All those colors just are meshing together already, and she hadn't even baked. Oh my goodness. Um, you just clean the kit, and most of the time people wash their kit. And if you wash your kit, you want to be careful not to get any water inside. So I always hold it by that. I'll soap up the doll. I usually make a bowl of soapy water and I just wipe it all over the doll and just rinse it under the faucet, and then just immediately take a rag or something and dry it as best I can. Lay it over to the side, do the next piece till you're done. Then when you get back to your table, you're going to want to make sure they're real nice and dry. Then I take a washcloth. I don't usually use a brown one. This has just got real raggy, so I threw it in with my rags to use on dolls. And I put alcohol on it. It doesn't matter as long as it's been washed a bunch of times like this one. Brown's not going to come off on your doll. Now, if it's new, it's different. But I usually use the white ones because when you buy a pack of these wash rags, they always have a few white ones in there. I don't like using the white ones. I don't know why. I just don't like white. So I use them on my dolls. But anyway, then you alcohol the whole kit. And then that's going to flash very quickly. Very, very quickly. By the time you do the head first, by the time you're done with the limbs, the head's already done. But I usually dry it off from that too. Then you get out your sealer and you just pounce it on just like it's a coat of paint. Very, very methodically and carefully, trying to get it down in every one of these creases and not leave any gooey stuff in there. We're going to pounce it and make it even and pretty. And then you just set it over here like I have these on the drying rack. You just put them on the drying rack and let them sit there. You can leave the head on the table because I stuff it. You're going to want to stuff it, but not a lot of stuffing. There should be a lot of room left in there where you can squish the stuff and it still goes up inside the head because the stuffing will swell. If you stuff it tight, you're going to have a balloon-headed baby when you're finished. But anyway, after you do all that, and when they feel a little bit grainy instead of gooey, then you can bake them. You put them in the oven this way. I put them up on the side like this, though, because they fit better. And then the next time, you want to turn it around this way and bake it. You bake it 2 times. And then when you take it out, if it doesn't feel nice and dry and textury, if it has any gooey spots or whatever, you're going to bake it a 3rd time. You turn it back over again and bake it again. But usually 2 times will do it unless you put it on really super thick. So that's prepping your kit. When it comes out from 2 bakes and it's cool, your kit is now prepped. So that's when we start the real painting. So if you want to count that first stuff I all just named out, washing the kit, drying the kit, alcohol in the kit, sealing the kit, baking the kit 2 times as steps, you have to add those to your process as a step. I call it preparing the kit to be painted. That's what I call it. But that's when you start with your enhancements. Now, enhancements are going to be things like creases. In one step, you can do the creases. Then you can do the veining. Then you can do the eyebrows. You can also do the nails and the lips. And you all in one step. Then you put them in the oven and you bake it. Then when it comes out, see, I didn't do it that way with her because, like I said, I was concentrating on this doll's thumb, trying to fix it. So I skipped some of the preliminary stuff I do on the first go-round on the enhancements. Then your second round of enhancements is usually going to be paint. You're going to use your dry brushes mostly. Purple, yes or no, you decide. If you're going to do purple, you're usually going to do that first. Then it's usually going to be blue next. And then yellow. It doesn't have to be in that order because they go in different places. You're not going to be putting any blue or purple here where you put the yellow, so you could literally do the yellow first. But you're going to do all these in one step. I also paint across the eyelid crack right there so that I can see it, but I do that when I'm doing the lips and nails, okay? So after you've done all those, you're going to set the head aside and let it dry a little bit while you're working on the arms and legs. You're going to pink the fingers, stuff like that, you know. And then when you come back to the head, you're going to put the pink on her, the pink background. I call this a pink background. Now, when we come back from this bake, we may decide we want to rose her cheeks some extra. And that's fine if you want to. You don't have to. But it is a step, and you can do it if you want to. But usually the enhancements take 2 steps. And like I said, 1 step is how much you do before you bake. That's what I call a step. And so then we get them in the oven and we bake them a little, you know, until they're cured for 8 minutes or 9 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever your time is. That looks harsh. I'm going to rub it. And you have until you bake to decide you want an enhancement taken off. So we've been sitting here talking, and I go, you know, I just don't really like this red on her face. I'm going to take it off. You just get a sponge or a rag, put some paint thinner on it, and just wipe it off. But I'm a little bit leery about that now because of what happened with Miranda. She had a crusty stuff in her ears, and when I tried to, I think it was her, when I tried to remove it, it just took all the paint, all the sealer off. I think she wasn't fully cured. But after you've baked your doll 3 or 4 times, anything that didn't fully cure is going to fully cure. I guarantee it. And they say the best way you can tell if your doll is sealed or not, I don't have any water, is to take a swab with water on it, find an inconspicuous place on your doll, like right here, for example, and you rub it with a slightly damp Q-tip, lightly rub it like this, and if you see any color on the Q-tip, it's not cured properly. Now you want to pick an inconspicuous spot because you don't want to be rubbing a lot of paint off your doll if it's not cured. What you want to do is put it back in the oven and cure it some more. But anyway, we're going to get her in the oven now. We've talked enough about layers and procedures and steps and stuff. So when we come back, we will probably be starting on her first layers. So please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and happy reborning.